Item 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Now, members, welcome you to this afternoon sitting. I have just two issues to communicate. The first is to congratulate the Honorable Kakopa Inyango, former MP for Buyuke North, 6th and 8th Parliaments. He was also in the Pan-African Parliament. He is now the Secretary General of the Conference of Great Lakes Region. He has just completed the first term as the Secretary General. In that capacity, he is also the Chief Diplomat of the Kinshasa-based body. The Great Lakes Conference includes Uganda, Kenya, Zambia, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, Sudan, South Sudan, Congo, DRC Congo, Republic of Congo, Congo Brazzaville, Central African Republic. On Monday, we were able to discuss with my colleagues in the Great Lakes region to extend his tenure by giving him a second term of 3 years as Secretary General. So I want to congratulate him and wish him well in that position. Secondly, on our members, yesterday I received a petition from the private teachers on matters, one of their welfare. They are still under lockdown, therefore they are not earning. Secondly, they came to inquire about the 20 billion shillings given by the president. And that, as you know, that's a matter which we have been discussing in this house, wanting to establish who is eligible, how can it be assessed. This remains an issue. So they also came to petition about that money. And they're saying that since they are not earning, they deserve to have access to the money. I hope that this time the ministry, the government will tell us where the money is and how it can be accessed and who is eligible among the teachers. The other thing I found interesting, they told me that originally they were part of the 19 groups of the Myoga, but they were removed in a manner they did not understand. I hope the Minister of Finance will tell us whether the teachers were part of the groups approved to receive a Myoga and how they were removed. So those are the matters I have to communicate. Now there are few matters of national concern. The Honorable Komakech. Leander Komakech.
Madam Speaker, I rise to move a matter of national importance in relation to the failure of government ministries, departments, and agencies to carry out all government printing with Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation as required under Section 5 of the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation Act, CAP 330, as well as need for financial assistance to Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. Madam Speaker, this corporation is created under the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation Act and grants it the mandate to, among others, provide printing and publishing facilities to government ministries, departments, parastatal bodies, and to private individuals and organizations. The broad mandate and function of the corporation places critical public and government information, including security documents, such as the Uganda Gazette, and all government legislation in its custody. Madam Speaker, whereas Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation is the government-mandated printer and custodian of Uganda of government legislation and security documents, this corporation is not supported financially to fully execute its mandate. The machinery at the corporation's office in Entebbe are very old, worn out, and are in need of urgent replacement, as was noted by Auditor General's report of 2015. Madam Speaker, the lack of modern machinery has affected the work of UPPC and has resulted in delay in delivering contracted work and has resulted into outsourcing of contracted works to private organizations which have better and modern machinery and equipment. Because of this, Madam Speaker, the corporation has lost 98% market share due to failure to recapitalize and equip its production line with the good state-of-the-art equipment that can cope with the changing consumer behaviors in spite of it having monopoly over their competition to provide general printing and publishing services to government and its MDAs. Madam Speaker, in spite of this, the act granting it monopoly over government printing works, most ministries, departments, agencies do not adhere to this legal requirement and instead engage the services of private printers to provide those services. This has not only affected the revenue of Uganda Publishing and Printing Corporation, but has also led to loss of government revenue through taxes and other benefits. Madam Speaker, I note that whereas the minister in charge of the presidency, who is the line minister for Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation, is empowered to, after approval by cabinet, by statutory instrument, to direct any ministry or department to have its printing and publishing work done by the corporation. This has not been done. And this has affected the work and operation of UPPC since it cannot raise its own revenue to meet its obligations, pay its staff adequately, and acquire modern printing equipment. Madam Speaker, whereas this corporation was given additional obligation to operate a joint venture with Veridos, a company incorporated under the laws of Germany, to print driving permits, government has not invested any additional fund in UPPC to ensure smooth operation of this joint venture and also to prepare it to take over the issuance of driving permits at the end of the joint venture with Veridos. Madam Speaker, my prayers, one, that the minister in charge of the presidency should forthwith direct all government ministries, departments, agencies to carry out all their printing with Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation as required in section 5, 1 and 2 of the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation Act, CAP 330. 2, government should, in the upcoming budget, provide funding to Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation for purposes of acquiring a modern and state-of-the-art printing machinery. Madam Speaker, beg to move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Komakech. You raise very, very serious issues, in particular the failure by government to follow the law, which we made ourselves with regard to the printing of government work, but also the failure to equip our own. Yet we have been talking about buy Uganda, build Uganda. So the minister for the presidency is required to come here in a fortnight and explain these issues to the satisfaction of the House so that we can support the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. However, I also invite the budget committee take an interest in the provisions under the budget for this corporation so that when you report, you have some recommendations relating to its further equipment. Honorable Awol, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm up on a matter of national importance concerning failure by Minister of Health to appoint a commencement date for the Mental Health Act 2019. Right Honorable Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda passed the new Mental Health Act 2019, and the same was assented to by the President of the Republic of Uganda and later gazetted on September 2019. The main objectives of the Act, among others, is to ensure the safety and protection of persons with mental illness and the protection of their rights and safety of the people who come into contact with them. Right Honorable Speaker, Section 1 of the Mental Health Act 2019 2019 provides that this act shall come into force on a date to be appointed by the minister by statutory instrument, and different days may be appointed for the commencement of the different provisions. Right Honorable Speaker, without the commencement date appointed, the act in question cannot commence, which leaves the lives and rights of the intended beneficiaries, mental health service users, at risk of having their rights and freedoms abused. Right Honorable Speaker, on Saturday, 10th April 2021, NBS TV ran a worrying story from Ntoroko, where the district leadership resolved to arrest all persons with mental disability roaming the streets as security measures taken to stop threats from the Allied Democratic Front rebel group, ADF. In regard to the above story run by NBS TV, such intended acts threaten human rights, especially of people with mental illness. So my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda calls the Minister of Health to explain the delay in the appointment of the commencement date for the Mental Health Act 2019. The Minister fixes or appoints the commencement date for the Mental Health Act 2019 as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Award, for raising that important issue, because this House took time to research and to enact the law in 2019. The Minister is required to come on Tuesday to explain to this House why there's no commencement date 2 years after the law was made. I should also answer the other questions Tuesday. Honorable Nyendoha, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me to raise this important issue before this August House. Madam Speaker and colleagues, I raise on a matter of national importance concerning the closure of Butiawa Health Center 4 in the Bulisa district. Madam Speaker, we are aware that Bulisa district was hit by floods mid-April last year. And because of that, Health Center 4 Butiawa was submerged and they were forced to move at Butiawa Primary School, where they have been operating since 23rd of July 2020. This very primary school has been hosting 3 schools because of COVID, but from 18th of March 2021, the health center was vacated and they were told to leave the school. As I speak now, Madam Speaker, the people of Butiawa have not been accessing health services since the 18th of March 2021. And should be aware of this, that from Butiawa to Viso, it is 15 kilometers before you reach another health center. From Butiawa to Bulisa Health Center 5 or Bulisa Hospital is almost 35 kilometers. Madam Speaker, it is very important that this government understands what they call emergency. The government is aware of this situation because the premise of this country has been in Bulisa more than 2 times, and he's aware of the situation in Bulisa and more especially Butiawa Health Center 4. It's my prayer at this very moment that the government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Health, regards this as a very important issue and really an act of urgency for them to provide health services to the people of Butiawa sub-county, because we are talking of a number of close to 30,000 people who are not accessing health services. Look at the flight of women in this area, the elderly, Madam Speaker. I think it's only important that government and Ministry of Health really prioritizes this and make sure that the people of Bulisa access immediate health services. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyendoha. Honourable members, the situation is serious. First, the health center, the government health center was overrun by floods. Therefore, it had to be moved to a school. But that was before the schools reopened, and now they have been required to abandon the school. So there's actually no health center at all in Butiaba. This is a very serious issue. Let's require an answer from the Minister of Health on Wednesday next week about when the flooded health center at Butiaba will be rehabilitated, and in the absence, where can the people of Butiaba get medical treatment? Thank you. Honorable Yeri, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'm rising up on the issue of Tororo Municipal Central Market. The government of Uganda, under Markets and Agriculture Trade Improvement Program, MATIB, constructed and improved several markets in cities and municipalities in Uganda. Most of these markets have been completed and were commissioned by His Excellency, the President of Uganda, before the last presidential and parliamentary election. The Ministry of Local Government, being the line ministry, was responsible for coordinating of the commissioning of these markets. But as we talk now, these markets are not in operation. The market vendors are currently operating under very harsh conditions because of the bad weather. My prayers is that I request the Minister of Local Government to intervene and speed up the opening of this market to make it work. Secondly, there's a bill, there's amendment bill on the market amendment bill, which is being handled by the ministry, but let them speed up so that it can also be in operation. Thirdly, the issue of this disbursement of a Myoga fund for Tororo district. The government of Uganda and the Ministry of Microfinance have been supporting groups across the country with the funds to enable implementation of groups under a Myoga program. Tororo district has several groups which registered, open account, and are waiting for training and disbursement of this fund. Currently, most districts have received this money, but Tororo, they don't know yet when to receive the money, and you know, according to the survey carried, is now one of the disadvantaged districts. So we wanted to know their program, when are they receiving the money, and so on, because we are just in dilemma. So let the ministry come out and tell the public when and these people benefit. I want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yeri. Honorable members, the Minister of Local Government is required to come next week on Wednesday and explain to the House why the Tororo Municipal Market, Central Market, commissioned last year is still not operational. Secondly, the Minister of Finance, I don't know what can say about the Myoga money. Honorable Bahati, for Tororo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Yeri, for raising that question. Madam Speaker, I will check tomorrow what's happening with the Tororo, and then again come back to Honorable Yeri directly tomorrow morning on that matter.
Thank you, Honorable Kin. I'm coming. Ojara, Okin Ojara, then Sabagara.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to raise this matter of importance, which involve the safety of our bank savings and the life of the customers who normally deposit their savings in commercial banks. Madam Speaker, it has come to my realization that there is a network of fraudsters involving bank officials, the judiciary, and even some lawyers within the city here who normally connive after noticing that your saving in the bank is there. They connive and then they go to the judiciary to issue statements, orders to siphon that money from the respective bank accounts. Madam Speaker, the cases in point is that in 2018, a South Sudanese general lost $740,000 from his account, purportedly from a court order which actually attached that account because of a failed business. Similarly, Madam Speaker, an Eritrean also lost 1.2 billion Uganda shillings from a bank, a commercial bank in Uganda here, under a similar arrangement where there is connivance and then the court order is issued and the account is actually garnished. Most recently, Madam Speaker, and that's where my area of concern lies now, we have had a one called Oyik Kenneth Chal, who had saved with the Standard Chartered Bank to the tune of $200,000, and a similar arrangement, his money was siphoned from the bank and then withdrawn by these fraudsters. So this is a common phenomenon, Madam Speaker, which we need to attend to and address. My prayers, therefore, Madam Speaker, is to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, that first of all, I'm not sure whether they are aware of this kind of scenario happening in the country. And secondly, to the regulatory authorities, Bank of Uganda, Financial Intelligence Authority, whether they are aware of this kind of scenario and what they are doing to address this kind of fraud that is happening. And then thirdly, to the Minister of Internal Affairs. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has the prerogative mandated to investigate criminal activities. These are fraudsters that are all over Kampala and defrauding people of their savings. What has the Ministry of Internal Affairs done to investigate these fraudulent activity and then probably apprehending the culprits? Madam, these are my prayers, and I hope it will be addressed as soon as immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kin. I don't know whether the Minister of Finance should say something, because this really goes to the core of our banking industry. And then maybe the Minister of Internal Affairs will say something. Case of the Eritrean, apart from taking the money out of his account in full, they also killed him. I think I remember that one.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honorable, thank you very much for this information. Madam Speaker, we all want to bank with our commercial banks and be sure that our savings are safe and they are handled with integrity. And I think the central bank is doing all it can to ensure that that is done. These specific cases, Madam Speaker, I think can be handled if we got more information about which commercial bank, who was affected, and then see what were the details of the case. And I think also, since the Minister of Internal Affairs is here, the easiest and the most important thing to do if something happens, please, it would be important to report to the bank, and at the same time also report to the police so that the matter can be investigated. And so I'll get more details and then see whether this is a general trend and then see how the central bank can tighten its own supervision. But the Minister of Internal Affairs can be able to make some comment on these fraudulent activities in the banking institution.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank Honorable King for raising this matter. I'd like to inform him that on the 3 cases that he has mentioned, particularly involving the South Sudanese, the Eritrean, and I don't remember the third one, I'd like to inform you that the Department of Criminal Investigations did undertake investigations in all the 3 cases. I think in one of them, if I remember correctly, prosecution was undertaken, but I do not have the specific details. But I do recollect all the 3 cases have been investigated and specific actions have been taken. But if you'll allow me, I can go and dig up this matter with the Criminal Investigations Department. I can report specifically on what happened on each case next week, as you may wish. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. So, Honorable Jara, if you could forward the details to Honorable J.J. Odong and Honorable Bahati, so this matter can be handled. Honorable Sabagala.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a couple of weeks ago, we raised the concern of many government entities that are lacking leadership. And one of them is Uganda Human Rights Commission. Madam Speaker, it is close to a year since Honorable Medsos Kagwa died. Up to now, there has not been any replacement. Madam Speaker, you gave us a task as a Committee on Human Rights to investigate electoral human rights violence. And indeed, Uganda Human Rights Commission is one of the institutions that we wanted to interact with. But they wrote to us that they don't have the mandate of appearing before our committee without the chairperson. And up to now, they say they cannot come to our committee so that they can share with us what they have in as far as human rights violations are concerned. Madam Speaker, through you, I don't know how best the appointing authority could expedite, because it has taken a full year without having the leadership, and yet we know that there are so many issues Ugandans are concerned with, issues of compensation. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Latif, my senior, for giving way. That Honorable Speaker, the final to give Honorable members that the Human Rights Commission was not fair to you and they are telling misleading information. Because Honorable Speaker, they wrote a report and gave their comments, about how elections were fair and there was no violence. Now, if they manage to write that, and when you call them to the committee and they refuse, then they are disrespecting the committee. And I know that gentleman very well who is now acting. So I think, Honorable Member, we need to investigate the commission. How does he write about the elections? How good they were, beautiful, nothing happened. Then when you call him to the committee, he fears that you are investigating on what the speaker directed. That's the information I wanted to give you.
Madam Speaker, they put it in writing and they were quoting that the law does not allow them to interface with us on such a very important matter without the leadership. Madam Speaker, I request your indulgence. There are so many commissions, there are so many government entities that are lacking leadership. And yet His Excellency, the President is the appointing authority, and given the fact that we are done now with the elections, I think he has time to look at those entities so that people can be appointed and they operate normally, Madam Speaker.
Now, members, the issue of the leadership of the Human Rights Commission, leadership of the IGG Institute, leadership of the Equal Opportunities Commission, all these are matters I asked the Minister of Justice, Attorney General, to come and update us this week. Why do we still not have leadership? He has not come. So I'm directing that the Attorney General comes here on Tuesday to explain when these bodies will have substantive heads, because we are really looking stupid. A country of 40 million, and we cannot find just 4 people to head these commissions. Okay, let's go to item 3.
Item 3.
Now, Mpamizo, you know that you want to talk about tobacco, but we have, about a month ago, the Minister of Trade answered the question on tobacco. Huh? That's what it was ago.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 3 months ago, this House passed a supplementary budget of close to 3 billion to pay tobacco farmers who were defrauded by sponsoring companies that were licensed by our government. Madam Speaker, immediately we passed that supplementary budget. All the other beneficiaries started earning money immediately. To our surprise, our peasants have not benefited, and it's now almost a quarter. I am requesting that the Minister of Finance and the other ministers, in line with that, come and give a commitment up to when will our farmers be paid. Give at least a deadline. Madam Speaker, farming tobacco is so tedious. You start preparing a bed in December and you sell in October. Most of the students, children of those tobacco farmers have not gone to school, and it has become a problem wherever we have public meetings, Madam Speaker. Let me get the information from
I want to know from the Minister of Finance. We passed this money. Even the debate on that issue was really heated here as to why the government should spend money to pay for these investors. We gave you the money. Tell us where it is. Tell us where that money is.
Madam Speaker, let me give this piece of information as the Minister comes to respond. Madam Speaker, just like my colleague has rightly put it, I come from Kivale, and my district, we have farmers who are largely affected and they have been expecting payment. Madam Speaker, since the supplementary was passed, I have received so many calls, and the question is, when are we getting our money? Because we were promised and they are hopeful. So let's get the information. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We should not even be discussing it. We provided money. This House gave money. Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, when we were passing this money, you asked the question, how is government going to recover this money? And we want to thank the House. You passed this supplementary with some condition that we should be able to get this money back from the companies who were supposed actually to pay, who are supposed to pay the farmers. We have after the passing of the budget, we're supposed to do an MOU or an undertaking by the tobacco companies and then start the paying. Nevertheless, I don't have where we are at the moment, but I want to promise that we have to make sure that before the end of this month, this money which was approved by Parliament is passed over to the farmers before the end of this month of April.
No, Minister, you're taking us too far. Where is the MOU? That's what we want to know. Where is the MOU? Has it been done or it hasn't been done? Or do people go to sleep after we pass the money?
Madam Speaker, can I inform the House on Tuesday?
Yes, we want an answer on Tuesday. I don't want to see this matter coming back, yet we have provided the resources.
Okay, Madam.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. I wanted to seek clarification from the Minister. And indeed, the Minister should stop fooling the House. Madam Speaker, every year, whenever this Parliament passes a supplementary, moreover, they first come to the House and put the House on pressure to pass supplementaries. But to release the money to the rightful people become a very big problem. So I would like the Minister to state very clearly what he means by next week, on which day are the farmers going to receive their monies. Because, Madam Speaker, I remember about 2 years ago, before the COVID time, a supplementary was passed and the money, part of the money, was supposed to pay some circles, and Agaro circle, which is in Agago district, and Padre. It serves Padre, Agago, Lamo, and Kitgum, was promised. Part of that supplementary was supposed to go to Agaro. But up to now, as we speak, Madam, the money has never come to Agaro. We don't know where the money is. And moreover, the House is duped to pass such monies. Yes.
No, other members, let's wait on Tuesday. The Minister tells us, as the MOU be signed, what is the money, when are you paying it? Let's go to item 3. Item 3.
Item 3, statement by Minister on missing persons.
Minister of Internal Affairs.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I thank you for giving me once again an opportunity to update you on this particular subject. Right Honorable Speaker, following a question by Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda on the floor of this Parliament on a matter relating to a person that he claimed was missing, you directed that I make a statement in response to that inquiry. So on 4th of February, 2021, I made a statement presenting a list of 44 names of persons that originally had been claimed to be missing. Now, on the 4th of March, following what I had earlier said, and following your directive to give a more comprehensive list of missing persons, I again made a statement in which I presented a list of 177 names, which list indicated where the person was arrested from, where the person, when the person was arrested, why the person was arrested, and showing at the time of reporting what had happened to that person. In the debate following my presentation, Honorable Matthias Mpuga presented a list of 423 names of missing persons on behalf of the National Unity Platform. I promised I would look into that list. Indeed, in the course of that debate, honorable colleagues also sent me sheets bearing names of persons they claimed were missing persons. So today, I am once again presenting to you, in fulfillment of what I had promised, a list of individuals that have been arrested since the 18th of November, 2020 to date. The list I am presenting clearly indicates that one, from 18th to 19th November 2020, 269 cases involving riotous situation in the country were registered. 269 cases, not persons. Of these, 175 persons were taken to court, 4 of whom the Attorney General was able to conclude and resolve. 90 of those 269 cases are still under inquiry. 1,035 suspects were arrested. 901 have been charged in court. Among these 901 was Honorable Robert Chagulanyi. 734 were remanded after being presented to court. 167 were released on court bail. 113 were released on police bond, and 113 included Honorable Patrick Aboy Omuriat, and 21 were cleared by police and released. 51 convicted individuals were sentenced as follows. 28 were sentenced for community service, 20 were cautioned, 3 were imprisoned for 6 months. Regrettably, 54 persons of the 1,100 we are talking about were killed during that period of the riots of the 18th to 19th. 45 of these were male, 6 of these were female, and 3 were male juveniles. Of the 45 males who were killed, 1 died out of a car accident involving vehicle number UAW 827N. Towards the election day and after elections, more people were arrested for election-related offenses. These have either been charged in court or remanded or are still held by security agencies to assist in investigations. The list of these I have attached as Annex A to this report. Of the 423 persons that Honorable Matthias Mpuga presented, 58 have been released or are on remand. 365 we have not been able to verify their whereabouts because the list was blank. It did not indicate the time when they were arrested or the location from where they were arrested to enable us follow up with this matter. However, intelligence reports so far seem to indicate that some of these individuals could actually be hiding in villages and other places for fear of being arrested for various offenses committed. The list of the 423 individuals I have now summarized in Annex B attached to this statement. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, this statement which I am making today, we should remember, is a continuation of our conversation as Parliament on the matter of missing persons. Secondly, it's a fulfillment of my promise, which I made on the 4th of March, that I would continue to brief this August House as long as I continue to get new developments and new information on this matter. And finally, this statement is to clearly show that the persons are not missing, but they were actually arrested and have been processed as I have indicated in the statement earlier on. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I beg to report.
Thank you, Minister. I'm trying to make sense of the annexures because I see the Uganda government prison Kitalia, date of arrival, 8th of January. On remand, there's a long list there. I also see people taken court-martial, 11th of December, long list, 14th December, 25th of February. The dates are really, you know. Okay, honorable members, honorable, okay, leader of opposition. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The missing people being accounted for by the Minister of Internal Affairs is not so satisfactory that he has accounted for all of them. And besides, when you arrest people, why don't we subject people under the laws of Uganda? When people are kept either in police custody or in military detention, completely in disregard of the 48 hours. To date, you have also accepted that there are still, is it 90 under inquiry without being taken to court of law. Honorable Minister, why don't you help our people better? When we say we are under a dictatorial regime, are we wrong? That you cannot subject people who are arrested to the laws of Uganda. I know I personally stood for Honorable Patrick Amoria Toboy in Gulu, and he was arrested for nothing. He was not allowed to hold rally. Honorable Minister, we are so sad that even then when we debate in Parliament here, we are taken not to be effective because we have missing people and we continue to do business as usual, and it is the guns which arrive on us if we have to decide to go for demonstration. I asked some of these people who support us, How do you support Uganda and allow this support to keep abusing the rights of people? Because when you get equipments from friends, from our development partners, from other countries for police to operate with, there should be some conditions not to allow human rights abuse completely, just outright, without even hiding it. At least sometimes some curtains should be put in order to say, no, we have not done this. But this is outright. And our partners continue to support. Why do we then send vehicles, tear gas, all this to abuse the rights of Ugandans? Ugandans deserve better. If we all follow laws, if we all follow what is in the Constitution, if we all follow our laws which we make here, I don't think so.
Honorable Fungaro. Fungaro? What rule? No, be serious, be serious.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm moving on a point of procedure.
I want to know under which rule.
Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, the minister has presented a very comprehensive list, for which I'm a shadow minister, for which part of the list is part of what we presented as the National Unity Platform. Would have loved to give us an opportunity to study his response, to study the list he has presented, and come back to this parliament with a comprehensive response to that statement. Because we want to put name to a particular location and be clear to detail. Right now, we may not be able to respond adequately to that list, and we would beg you that we stay the debate and give us an opportunity, because the matter of disappearance of our people is continuing, and for us to make a quick spot-on response may not be in the best interest of the country. We beg for your indulgence. Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, I do appreciate what you're saying, but I think that the other members who are not of your party who want to say a few things, let us listen to a few other members, then we shall take a decision. But of course, you are entitled to get the information so that you can either confirm or advise on what is happening. We shall come back to you, don't worry.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Minister, I would like you to refer to your contradictory statement of saying there are no missing persons. And when you are referring also to the list provided by Honorable Mpuga, you provided a list of missing persons derived from that list that you are not able to establish where they are by the virtue of the fact that the information provided to you did not indicate clearly where they were arrested from. So my main point here is, can you admit first that there are missing persons? Because the record must be set right. Right, Honorable Speaker, if you follow the statement of the government of Uganda within and outside, particularly the one of outside I'm referring to, was from the UN, where Uganda's representative to the UN was quoted as saying there were no people who were kidnapped, therefore going to the same issue that there are no missing persons. Let's set the record right, Honorable Minister. This is not an issue to criminalize you. By the mere fact that this issue is brought to you means that people are still respecting you as a responsible person. What are you going to say? The day Ugandans will refuse to be arrested. What are you going to say? The day Ugandans will refuse to seek for explanation from you about their missing people. Uganda has this history. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to say this on behalf of the people of Obongi whom I represent here. We went through this kind of pain, but because of our isolation, where you may not see the mass media, the internet was cut off. People were subjected to this but we still don't get sufficient responses from the government. People are like giving up in all directions. Therefore, I say that Ugandans bear this, and we people from the north should stand up with the people of Buganda. Majority of the people who are missing this time around, if you take, are from Buganda here. In the past, when the kidnaps, when the missing people were from the north, from the east, because of the concentration of the dissent, the epicenter of dissent against this regime being in the north and in the east, some people thought we were telling lies about the badness of this government. That's why these days, from the north, much as Buganda has done well in our point of view as people from the opposition, because they voted in line with the opposition massively. Many people from the north are saying, you people from Buganda did not support us. Now you test it. But I don't like that position. Mine is bad is bad, good is good. Just us. Those of you who are in pain.
Member, you know in a microphone. You don't have to shout.
Madam Speakers.
Yes.
I pray that we should stand up together. We should actually congratulate the people of Uganda for joining us who are crying first. And we should now cry together with them. We should not say they should be left alone. Uganda, I stand with you.
Thank you. Honorable Centenary. Centenary. I believe you are waiting for your group day.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Lucy.
The minister spoke about people who were charged for who were arrested for on electoral offenses. I would like to find out from you, Honorable Minister, are the elections still ongoing, to the effect that on your list you still have people who were arrested on electoral offenses? 2, do you ever think that this power you are using and misusing to arrest, kidnap, detain people arbitrarily will one day shift to another force, and that this very power can be used against you? Don't you think these people you are detaining have families that are suffering? They have children, they have their wives, they have their parents, and they are traumatized. They are looking forward towards looking at their people, at least dead or alive. Why don't you have pity for these people, Honorable Minister? We have the courts of laws well facilitated. Why don't you arraign them before the courts of laws? My other disappointment is actually even taking civilians to the court-martial, the military courts. Why do you apply double standards? Uganda is supposed to be a democratic country. The court-martials were created for soldiers, UPDF, actually specifically UPDF, it is under the UPDF Act. Why do you subject civilians to a military court, yet they have never even been part of the military? These people you're detaining here in the various prisons that you have talked about, which are not even, the list is not even clear. They have a right, a non-derogable right. First of all, they have a right to bail, they have a right to bond. I don't know how much it takes you to inquire and investigate into the criminalities that were caused by those people. Yet, you had reasons why you detained them. I'm about to think that you are incompetent. Because if you cannot inquire and investigate small offenses, then we don't even need to have you really in these offices. You should resign and allow more competent people to come and carry out these investigations in a very swift and timely manner. The extrajudicial arbitrary arrests are making Ugandans feel as though they are not part of this country. The drones, when I was growing up, Pandagari. My father was a soldier and in the UNLA. And people used to think that UNLA was a bad force. But I'm telling you, history will judge you right. And people.
Honorable Savagara, Nabulindo, Ogon, and Aranya. We end with the national dialogue. Oh, Lucy, I think I saw Lucy.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of missing persons across the country is of great concern to this House and also to all Ugandans. Madam Speaker, I have listened attentively to the Minister's response in as far as Honorable Matthias Mpuga's list is concerned. And out of the 400 people Honorable Mpuga brought out, the Minister has come out to acknowledge 56 out of the 400. That out of the 400, yes, we can say we have the 56 whom we verified that we are with us. Madam Speaker, I believe when we talk about the feelings of many Ugandans outside there who have not been seeing their relatives for a while, it pains, Madam Speaker, because we would rather someone would believe that, yes, I have my relative in prison and is facing such and such a case, charges, and is being brought to court, and then you are comfortable. But Madam Speaker, the likes of Mr. Kibalama John Bosco, who went missing on 3rd June, Honorable Minister taking interest, on 3rd June 2019, up to now, he has never been seen anywhere. Madam Speaker, I believe that as on humanitarian grounds, we need to come to the rescue of many Ugandans who are crying because of their missing relatives. And I believe that there is no harm for the government to come out to say, yes, we have been having these people unconstitutionally, and indeed they have been released. So if we are to honor what the late Archbishop was yearning for, was fighting for human rights, let us do this as a way of recognizing what the Archbishop has been fighting for. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, we have so many pain at different levels, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable, I don't know, Nabulindo? Honorable Nabulindo? Is that Gilbert?
Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Speaker.
Gilbert.
The Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Busia are in tears.
Okay.
We have 4 people missing, and these boys were arrested in Busia. One was a candidate aspiring for the mayorship, and that boy is called Yokana Were Musa. He was dealing with the produce. Another one is Elias Kwamusi, who was aspiring, was a parliamentary candidate. Then we have Wabwire Stephen, and then we have Edirisa Wafula. Edirisa Wafula is a primary teacher at Madibira Primary School. Madam Speaker, schools have started. P5 class has no teacher because Edirisa, we don't know his whereabouts. These people have families. Parents are crying. They are calling us to assist. We cannot feed them. For us, we deal on cross borders, you know. The maize no longer cross, and that's what we do, maybe deal on to support their families. So, Honorable Minister, just sympathize with the people of Busia, people of Uganda, and free these people who are arrested. Thank you.
Honorable Mokitale. 3 minutes, please. Then Okin.
Thank you.
Gilbert. And then Lucy.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for adhering to your directive. Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is abundantly clear that national dialogue is long overdue. Elections polarize the population. And there is no way we can develop as a country if we continue to be polarized. I was humbled this morning when I saw the President of the US, Biden, kneeling down after a government paying $27 million to the orphan of the late black Floyd who was killed by the police, George Floyd. But still, after government, they know it's an individual officer who made a mistake. The government has paid $27 million, but the president takes, kneels down. The president kneels down to apologize before a young boy. Do we learn something from that? I know what I expected from the minister, first of all, is at this point in time, can we hold the individual indisciplined military officers personally liable? Personally liable, as government has said, it was not a government policy, it was an excess of individuals. At one time, even the CDF was very, had humility to apologize. But I think the cheapest option, Madam Speaker, is that this country can take courage. NRM were a government which has come from fighting forces, where people in the cabinet who were shooting at NRA. Why can't we forgive these people and the country moves on? We are overstretching courts. I don't think there is social distance anymore there. You know, the problems are manufactured by politicians. We are overstretching our security forces to almost becoming partisan. We don't want to lose our police, our army, the way we lost UNLA, the way we lost Uganda army because of politics. Let us do everything to have a national dialogue, even if we have had amnesty. Those who fought and killed the people, you have had amnesty. General JJ, you know that. You are a man of all seasons. Kindly, I want to pray the president, before swearing in, should move that magnanimity as a head of state and announce all children of this country to be released. And whatever it takes, I know there's some details of an amnesty, the way it's handled, but it sounds ugly. You can't convince investors that Uganda is an investment destination. Nature has promoted us as a good tourist. As Madam Speaker, as I conclude, does not market Uganda. Even our Ugandan diaspora want to come back. They think Uganda has gone back to the dogs. So I pray we have a national dialogue as a matter of emergency so that this country can have a new solution for the generations to come.
Thank you. Honorable Alban. Alban, Gilbert, Okin, then Lucy.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I've just got information. There were 20 people who also dropped around in PG. That was the amount of release. In Honorable Lubia's constituency. 20. Yes, and yet you know, Right Honorable Speaker, these issues that touch on matters of human rights are the ones that distinguish the difference between governments before and governments now. If one of you took time to read the book by Professor G.W. Kanyehamba, the one which was recently launched by Professor Pierre Lumumba, read about the history of Uganda between 1963 and 1980. You will see our past, and you decide that we must be settled and clear-headed so that we know where we are going. Right Honorable Speaker, there are people who have been said to be on remand. For me, I do not want to doubt the capacity, the capability, the energy, the effort, the commitment of the Honorable Minister for Internal Affairs. General J.J. Odongo is formidable. Nobody should doubt him. Maybe the problem is orders from above. Yes, but I know him, yes, because even when you talk about target, we have that information because I'm an intercessor like him. If you want to know that he's a true soldier, you just light your cigarette, put it there, and ask him to point at it. He will get it. Shoot the cigarette at the light, the lighting point. That is him. So, General, with all that capacity, don't you think you are in a position to properly advise government to now release everybody? Because Honorable Speaker, he has the capacity. Madam Speaker, the people who lost life, over 54 or so, are we going to compensate the lives? What are we doing about those families? So I think we should be searching for a solution now, a way forward, but not to deepen the problem. So, Honorable Minister, I don't know what you are thinking about this. You have to say something about this. Is government going to compensate for the lives lost, the 54 people? I think that's very important. There's another issue. There are those whom you reported to be either released or still on remand. Why are we doubting? We are not sure whether they are on remand. We are also not sure whether they have been released. So which one is the answer? Because now there's a no man's zone in between. So which one is which? Then there's another issue. Madam Speaker, just to conclude, it seems like there are people yet to be arrested. Is that list ready? Yes, because somewhere in your statement, you say some people seem to be hiding in villages in fear of arrest. Who are the people to be arrested yet so that they know and they prepare for court? I think that's very, very important. And those who are on remand in which prisons, those who have not brought to courts of law, where are they? I think that is what distinguishes between a good government and a government which is not yet ready. But I don't doubt the general there is a true general. Please do what generals do. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Olanyadeno Okin. Honorable members, one of the 54 dead today received his mother in my office. The other day she was here demonstrating because they have not been assisted in any way. She was complaining that they have tried to approach all the agencies. They even had to carry out a post-mortem at their expense, exhume a body at their expense. So that's why I decided to demonstrate here at Parliament, but I received her today. But it seems that no one is actually taking an interest in these victims. Because the mother said they have worked for almost 6 months. The boy was shot when they were working together. They were walking home. He was not part of the riots. They were just walking home when he was shot. But seems the minister, you have not yet set up a task force to handle those people. We don't know where to go. Nobody is interested. It's a really serious issue.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, from where you concluded, Right Honourable Speaker, there are many people who have disappeared in this country. And there are many who are still disappearing up to now in this country, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Minister, I would like to start from your concluding remark, whereby you said intelligence report indicates that some of these people, out of 365 people, some of them could be hiding in the villages. Honourable Minister, you have all intelligence apparatus. We have GISUs, we have PISUs, we have officers of the RDCs. All those intelligence are there in the villages. Why not to ask them to smoke out where those people are hiding? Because it's quite risky to come on the floor of Parliament and to say they could be hiding somewhere. We have all the intelligence reports. You remember, I borrowed from His Excellency the President. He made a statement some time back that he will not be presiding over the country where people disappear and no one knows where those people are. And right now, people are disappearing. People are disappearing day and night. His Excellency is still presiding over this government whereby people are disappearing day and night. Right, Honourable Speaker, I think this is the high time the president should reflect on his words. Citizens of this country are disappearing, and you cannot account where those people are. Secondly, Honorable Minister, many people who are being arrested, others are arrested on land issues. Right now, they are being charged in court martials. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have a very serious case in my constituency, whereby LC1 and its executives, they were arrested right from Amoro, and right now they are in Kigo prison, and they are being tried in court martials. Someone who has never held guns, he doesn't know how to operate guns, and he has never been a soldier. And right now, they are being tried in court martials. Right, Honorable Speaker, this government, there are other people who really think that the country is theirs and they can do anything. They can create charges on other individuals. As a wind up, let Honorable Minister, please let us try to be serious. Many Ugandans are missing, and parents are crying for their children. There are other people who are missing. They are the breadwinners in their families. Please let us be mindful of the children who are suffering, of the wives who are crying for their husbands. Please produce those people. Let them come back to continue with their activities with their families. I beg to move.
Honorable Jara, VP, then Lucy. Okay, look.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me also thank the Minister for giving this report. Because much as the report has indicated, there's a lot of loopholes. At least he tried to present something in this House. So let me thank him for that. Madam Speaker, I want to seek a clarification from the Minister. Mr. Minister, this is a government, and this is an institution. An institution has its own ways of doing its own things. I've not read through your report, but I don't know how you came up to arrive at what you presented before in this parliament. Because there must have been a very good set parameters based on the list that Oromo Mpuga presented the other time of the 400 missing people. Now you have indicated only 56 can only be identified. How about the rest of the people whose list was actually presented before this parliament? We were expecting you to come and clarify on each and every member of the list of the missing person who have been presented here. But just not to come blindly and say, we have 56 now identified, the rest we don't know where they are, whether they have gone somewhere, whether they have, that is not how an institution like a government, a big institution like a government in power works. We would love to hear, Mr. Minister, if the rest are completely eliminated. Be frank and tell us that the other ones, we have decided to do away with them. And we should not keep on ping-ponging on the same thing, crying for you to produce list of people who have now been eliminated. So we beg you that you go and do research, identify the 400 numbers that have been submitted to this parliament, and one by one on a case by case. Say this one here has taken off maybe to Arua or to Kitgum, this one here is in Kalangala, this one here is somewhere, so that we know exactly whether they're still alive or they're dead. This is the clarification I want to seek. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now, Lucy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just have a few points of clarification from the Minister. Madam Speaker, when the Minister was making his statement, he made reference to many numbers of the people arrested whose cases are yet under investigation. Madam Speaker, the irony with this statement is many of these people are being charged with cases related to breaking the SOP, the COVID-19 SOP guidelines. I am assuming and I know that many of these people have contributed to the congestions in the prisons. I would like the ministers to assure me that you are also not breaking the COVID-19 SOP guideline and why you should also not be arrested. Because you are breaking your also the same thing that you are the same case that you are arresting the people is the same case that you also must be arrested. Madam Speaker, for me this is my issue, and really I beg and I implore our government of Uganda on behalf of the women who are shedding tears day and night, have mercy and feel pity for these women and really release their children. And really, even if these children are dead, just inform them that, you know what, your children are dead, there's nothing you can do. You cry once and for all, you bury your loved one, and you forget about it, instead of doing ping pong here and there. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, honor members, there was a request from Honorable Shadow Minister of Internal Affairs that they wanted to examine the list. We shall give them that opportunity so that they can study and come back to us. But Honor Minister, for me, I really want to appeal to my government to act with restraint in some of these issues. You know, it's very, very painful when your country is cited in the international bodies as violating human rights. The meetings where I used to go, I was very comfortable when they were mentioning other countries until they started talking about Uganda. So I really want to appeal. Let us act with restraint. Don't know whether the minister has any closing remarks. Do you have any closing remarks?
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I'd like to thank colleagues who have responded and guided further on this subject matter. First and foremost, I would like to point out that the exercise we are involved in, the conversation we are involved in, is an attempt to find a solution to this particular problem. I would like to try to respond and answer your points of inquiry to your satisfaction. So if in a way I have not answered it, I am, as I have pointed out earlier, I am available for you to say, we have this particular issue, and I will investigate it, and I will be able to report back. Indeed, last time when I was here on 4th of March, I did indicate so. Many of you indeed gave me names, and they are included on this list I have today indicated. So what I am attempting to do is to find a solution to this problem. Madam Speaker, I take your guidance and advice on a matter of forming a task force to deal with those individuals who got hurt and do not know where to report. I'll go and look at this matter, and I will be reporting to you on how to proceed on this particular matter. Madam Speaker, there are about 4 or 5 specific points I would like to respond to. One was the inquiry as to whether elections are still going on and therefore we are arresting people. The answer is no. The elections are not going on. What I am reporting here are the people that were arrested, not we are arresting. The second point, specific one I would like to respond to, is why are civilians being tried in military courts? You are aware, honorable colleagues, that our law is clear on the fact that if you involve yourself in activities ordinarily associated with the military, you learn yourself to be tried by the military. If you hold a gun, for example, you are not supposed to be having a gun as a civilian. It's only the military. And therefore, you learn yourself. And that's how a number of these have ended there, because they have acted in a manner learning themselves to military activity. I would like also to say this, that Honorable Fungaro, this is not a laughing matter, if you might. I feel the pain as you have indeed suggested, but it is also my responsibility, however much pain I feel, to ensure that the due processes are concluded. I shouldn't use my emotions and pain and take unilateral actions without allowing the due process to continue. It is true some individual security officers have acted in excess. And I would like to confirm to you that many of these officers who have been identified have been punished accordingly. We do not hide. We take specific action on those officers. Finally, I wanted to respond to my Honorable Akelo Lucy, who said, you are contributing to COVID-19 congestion in prisons. I'd like to tell you that we are very specific in management of prisoners. Any new cases never get mixed with old cases. We sort them out as soon as they arrive, they are tested, and they are kept separate from old cases whom we know are clear from this. So in no way are we contributing to the spread of COVID in the prisons. If you'll recollect, as soon as there was the outbreak, we had a similar outbreak in Moroto prison. We had to separate those who were found positive and taken to Morukatipe prison. So we are very careful about this. We don't mix them. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable colleagues, this is a matter that I do not want us to become emotional about. I want us to deal with it because it's a problem of our country, and together we will find a solution. I will not go anywhere. I will be working with you to find a solution, a final solution to this problem. I thank you.
Very much. So when the shadow cabinets are ready, they will let us know. And we shall invite the minister back. Let's go to item 4. Item 4.
Item 4, motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Rules and Privileges and Discipline on the proposed amendments to the Rules of Procedure of Parliament.
Yes, Honorable Muziku, what's burning you?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm happy you have allowed me because it was a burning issue. Madam Speaker, 3 weeks ago, you direct the Minister of Internal Affairs to bring a report here in the House concerning how and when the students who are acting as police constables would be paid. At the moment, Madam Speaker, the district of Ntungamo, Isingiro, and Kazo have not been paid for the second month.
for the third month. And the entire Uganda, they say, has received their own money. And those ones who went back to school have not been paid, and the money is not passing through their accounts. So, Madam Speaker, there is a problem that money might get stolen, and at a certain point, we lose government funds. So, Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be procedural right, now that the minister is here, that you remind him to bring the response such that the entire country can know how they will be paid and why those people who have not been paid are still waiting when the entire country has got their own money. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Muzigu. Indeed, you had raised that matter on 2 previous occasions, and we've been waiting for an answer from the minister. Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, Honourable colleague, for raising this matter. It is true, Right Honourable Speaker, you raised this matter with me to respond in writing, and I have done it. Unfortunately, there seems to be a mix as to why that response has not arrived. But I can give you the facts before I even come here. The facts are these. When we recruited special police constables, they were recruited to serve for 3 months. Because they were going to be in service for a short time, it was difficult for us to use the usual electronic IMFS system. Some of the constables did not even have phones. So we took a decision that all these individuals would be paid the money cash. Because the money was budgeted for, we have the money. Now the procedure we used was deliver the money to the regional police commander to pay off all of these officers under his command. We were able to disburse this money for the first month of January, and many of them were paid. But we also said, before we give you subsequent payments to pay others, you must account for the money we have already given you. So now the problem is why some of the SPCs have not been paid is because the responsible regional police commanders have not yet accounted for the money which was disbursed to them. But the money is with us, and as soon as we get that accountability, we will release it for the payment of subsequent individuals available. The money is available. We are waiting for accountability of the money already released to the regional police commanders. And once we receive that, we will release the money to complete the cycle of payment of the balance for the month of March. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
You are not satisfied.
Madam Speaker, in the same question, there was an issue of whether those students who went back to school would be paid. Because when they recruited the youth, it was lockdown and schools had not opened. Now they have opened and some of them have gone to school. So that issue was part of the question, and would like to know whether those youth will get their money or it is not there. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, mine is in line with the response that the minister gave. Madam Speaker, every system has a way of doing its things and the way they operate. The minister was clear that when they recruited those constables, they will have to work for 3 months. This is now April. But they are waiting for regional police commanders to send accountability, as these constables are suffering. Madam Speaker, in case these regional police commanders send accountability in December, or don't send, what will happen? Secondly, from the minister, Madam Speaker, can the minister tell us, since, because other regional police commanders sent accountabilities and others have not sent, what have they done as a minister or as a system? Because if we have to wait for regional police commanders who could have even eaten in some money somewhere, they will not send and they will be transferred. When they are transferred, different regions, they will suffer. Or they may stubbornly, as some things happen, they may stubbornly refuse to send, or send next year, or wait for the new government in 2026.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank colleagues for raising the supplementary questions. The first one, what happens to the students who have gone back but have not yet been paid? We pay for service. If he served the month, he will get his pay. But if he left before he served the month, we will be finding it difficult to pay money for no services rendered. Two, we budgeted for this money for this financial year. It will not go beyond this financial year. In fact, I have already sent a directive. Today, in the morning, I was with the Undersecretary of Police on this particular subject. Luckily enough, you have now raised it. The point I did tell him was that we must be able to put the regional police commanders to task, to account before we reach May, so that we pay this money. So it cannot go beyond May, because I have given that instruction.
Oh, we need to go back to our rules.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the further clarification I'm seeking from the Minister. These SPCs were recruited to serve for 3 months. And Madam Speaker, it seems their service is continuing. And some of them are telling us that there's an assessment being done that those who will have conducted themselves well, maybe politely in terms of demanding for their pay, might be absorbed in other regular forces. Maybe could the Minister also further clarify on this? These people might be going beyond the 3 months they had been recruited to serve. What will happen?
Right Honorable Speaker, I cannot speak for the other forces, but I can certainly speak for police. It is true, whereas these individuals were recruited to serve for 3 months, when we assessed our needs, we found that we may need some of them. And indeed, some of them will be retained. They are now being screened, they are now being processed, and we will determine the number on the basis of our requirement. Instead of going to a new recruitment, we already have this a catchment number from whom we will pick the number we require. So yes, it is true, some of them will be recruited and absorbed into the police force.
Thank you. Let me invite the Chair of the Rules Committee. I think you had presented.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker, you had directed that any comments on the report should be submitted through the clerk's office. I have since received submissions from the Office of the Prime Minister and from Honorable Elijah Okupa, who is represented, I think, by Honorable Silas Aogon. And I have also received submissions from Honorable Kibalia and Honorable Angura. I think all of them can actually be discussed in the process of processing the amendments rather than discussing them separately. So I would suggest that we could go straight into the proposed amendments, and those members should be on standby to come in when we reach those areas where you have specific concerns.
Is anyone representing Honorable Ali? Okay, no, we shall note his. So you said Honorable Ali, Honorable Kibalia, Honorable Cooper.
Cooper is represented by Honorable Aogon. It was a joint submission.
Okay.
Only Honorable Aogon is here, and Honorable Kibalia and Honorable Angura.
Okay. Let's proceed.
Honorable members, I now beg to submit the proposed amendments to the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. The first proposed amendment is to Rule number 3, Oath of a Member. A, Sub-Rule 3, substitute for the word "at" appearing in line 2, the words "prior to." Justification: the kind of oath referred to under Sub-Rule 1 administered prior to the first sitting of Parliament, not at the first sitting of Parliament.
Members, the question is that Rule 3 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Oh, but have you actually read the proposal? You have not presented.
Yes.
You read the whole rule. We read all the proposals under Rule 3 entirely.
Sub-Rule 4, substitute for Sub-Rule 4 the following new sub-rules. Where a member has not taken oath prior to the first sitting of Parliament, the member shall take the oath administered by the clerk before the House. 5, notwithstanding Sub-Rule 4, a member may take oath in any other manner determined by the Speaker, where A, Parliament is on recess, or B, the member is unable to take oath within the precincts of Parliament due to circumstances beyond the control of the member.
Honourable members, that is the proposal. Put the question that Rule 3 be, yes, Honourable Agon.
I would simply request the chair to cite an example of circumstances where a member may not be able to get the oath right here, so that we try to understand. I don't know whether...
Honourable members, supposing on the 16th of May, a member is listed to take oath but is very sick and cannot actually speak, should that person take oath as soon as they're able to? After?
I don't know whether that is the...
And another instance, Madam Speaker, I wanted to give an example like the current MP for Nakawa. By the time we were sworn in, Madam Speaker, he was in prison. And of recent, we have a system of debating using Zoom. You can contribute, you can bring in your views when you are at home or when you are even in prison. So if a situation happened and it was touching his constituency, but he had not sworn in yet, but still in prison, maybe we could find a way of having him swear in so that as government still detains him, he can be in position to contribute and participate in the debate that could be going on.
Honourable Member, I want to encourage members that this actually happens sometimes. I want to encourage members to allow. Yes, Honourable Joba.
Honorable Speaker, if someone is in prison, they are in prison. And it is not until they get out that they should be able to swear in and participate in the affairs of Parliament. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we should reserve that person can be allowed to swear in later, but not that they swear in wherever they are. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think this will pose problems.
No one is talking about swearing wherever you are. They're talking about the oath being administered separately. That's what they talk about here. Honourable members, it has better be clear. Within the presence of Parliament. Can the chair?
There is part B,
Okay.
which talks of that a member is unable to take oath within the precincts of Parliament due to circumstances beyond the control. I think that's where the problem is, right, Honourable Speaker, because normally I have observed that even when we are out of it, the first thing the Speaker declares a precinct of Parliament. But now here we are saying that this member can take oath in a place which is not a precinct of Parliament. Maybe if I'm in Agongera and I'm unable to be sworn in for reasons beyond my control, then I can be sworn in from Nagongera, which is not a precinct of Parliament. This B is the one which is not very clear, right now, Speaker.
Can we ask the chair to elaborate on that B?
Madam Speaker, I would like to allay the concern of the members by reminding members that any determination of what would constitute precincts of Parliament for purposes of that activity would be subject to the determination of the Speaker. So we are not just saying that a member will maybe write to the Speaker and say, I want to be sworn in from Soroti. But what we are saying is that once the Speaker determines that these are circumstances beyond the control of that member, then the Speaker can make that decision. And it can only be on a case-by-case basis. We cannot list all the possible scenarios. Thank you.
Oh no, Joffa, you are still not satisfied.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For the current speakers that we have, we love them, we trust them, but we don't know what kind of speaker we might get. And we would want to give the speaker so much power. So, Right Honorable Speaker, if this person cannot swear in at the time when others are sworn in, let them be able to come and be sworn in later, rather than say that the speaker will determine that I'm going to use the word wherever again, that wherever this person is can be designated as the precincts of Parliament. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think we need checks and balances. So this person should be sworn in within the precincts of Parliament as we know it. Right, Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit.
Clarification, Speaker. Clarification. Speaker, I would like the chairman to clarify to me, if others have understood, what problem he has experienced with the current law, with the current rules that we have. Because I think the speakers that we have had in the last couple of years, they have not encountered any problems at all regarding a member who probably is not around by the time the swearing-in ceremony is being done, or members who come in through by-elections, or whatever it is. But the speaker has always arranged, because this is an administrative matter, the speaker has always arranged within the jurisdiction of his powers to make sure that this member is properly sworn in accordance with the law, because the speaker understands. So, Right Honorable Speaker must first be convinced the problem that we have experienced with the current rules. Then we can go to amendment. But we can't go to amendment when we have not cited any inconveniences caused by the current rule as it is.
Honorable Chair, what's the mischief you're trying to cure here?
Madam Speaker, the committee has thought of many circumstances that we face now. We are actually thinking of the welfare of the members. We've just been roasting the minister here over people who've been arrested. Now, what we should be thinking about is that a member who has won an election and is entitled to the benefits of a member of parliament may, by reason of an illness or otherwise, be unable to be sworn in. And until such a member is sworn in, he will not be entitled to those benefits. And yet these are circumstances beyond the control of the member. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't happen. So we are thinking about this in view of COVID, which has now led us to hold plenary using Zoom and all that. I don't think this is conjecture or far-fetched as some members may wish. Information?
So you're looking at a situation where on the 14th of May, a member-elect is arrested and that's unable therefore to come for the oath. Yes. And the oaths are concluded.
Yes. Chair, as my chair has stated, at the committee, we understand that without being sworn in, the member would not be getting their whatever payment. But we also learned something from what happened in COVID. Somebody could have been caught abroad when the travels were banned, and they can't come, there are no flights, among others. In that situation, we think that even though the speaker has been able to handle this situation previously, and maybe that's the reason maybe why we may not have seen how big a problem is, I think it is important to formalize it other than putting the speaker in a situation where in many cases. So those were the consideration, and it could be many other grounds, but I think it is important that we create room for unforeseen circumstances and circumstances like COVID to be catered for within the rules. Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker. In fact, that's my problem. If you're going to anchor that amendment on welfare, really, I think then I don't deserve to be part of this house. Just because of welfare. Right, Honorable Speaker, a situation can happen where you can say after 1 year of your being elected, you are not there. Something can be done where they say once you are sworn in, then you can be paid in retrospect. Whatever, that's something which can be done around that. But for you to say we put it in the law that to protect my welfare, therefore you can swear me in Dokolo, or you can swear me in the Mengo Hospital, or Right Honorable Speaker, I totally disagree with the spirit behind this amendment of this rule. We have been very comfortable over the years with the current rules, and I think we should maintain it as it is for the time being.
Madam Speaker, I want the House to be clear on one thing. The member asked the committee to give examples. This amendment is not pegged to that one issue of welfare. It is one example. And my vice has just given another example. For example, supposing there is a lockdown and a member cannot come for swearing in for one reason or the other. And yet the member is a duly elected member. Perhaps, Madam Speaker, in the spirit of the concern by members, let me make a suggestion. Let me make this suggestion. Supposing we redrafted this rule to read, notwithstanding sub-rule 4, a member may take oath in any manner as may be determined by the Speaker.
Okay, honourable members, what I think, let's stand over this matter. Let's go to the others, as you are thinking. As you are thinking about the structure.
Rule 5.
Yes, Minister of Minerals.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I think the examples that have been given may not be the best. I do understand where the committee is coming from, but Madam Speaker, when they say that the committee proposes rules should be amended to provide for administration of oaths before the Speaker when we are on recess, but also in situations where the person cannot come here, that the Speaker can go and have the oath administered. And the Vice Chairperson gave an example.
Where is that?
The Vice... Oh, sorry.
What's in the amendment itself?
Right Honourable Speaker, I had members speaking about that. And that's why the comment by the Vice Chairperson that a member may be caught abroad and therefore or in prison. But Madam Speaker, if the member is caught abroad, that is known that the person will be abroad. We don't have to have that here. The person should wait until he or she is able to return, and then he can take oath. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I think for me the reasons given for this particular amendment are not strong reasons that would allow us to amend. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I need to seek clarification from the chair of the committee. Of course, my colleague had alluded to some examples in support of this amendment, and I was not satisfied equally. But I want to inquire. I thought that an oath means that a member is starting to serve. And now if we say that a member can hide or be held somewhere due to certain reasons, and he takes oath to start eating from the government coffers when he's not serving, now what are we doing? I think we can, as the honorable member suggested, we can put avenues where the Speaker, within your powers, you can see how possible the member can come here in the precincts of Parliament to take oath and also start serving. Otherwise, if we open this space here, we might run into trouble. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, okay.
I think what I'm saying here, if we are not we are now learning to adapt into a new world, which is being referred to as the new normal. It's therefore unfortunate if we try to think that things will remain as they have always been in the past. I think what is important here is how a member can start participating in the debate, in the proceedings of Parliament. And there may be, according to what we have now, there are several things that may not enable the member to come in to be sworn in. And there should be some mechanism of how that can be managed. And I think that is what this new amendment is trying to achieve.
Honour members, let me tell you from experience that when some of these issues happen, we get information, so and so is sick, will not be able to attend, so and so is out of the country, will return after 1 week. So we do get information. Normally we're not taken by surprise.
Madam Speaker, maybe we could provide, since we are now compliant with the IT, maybe what we could think about is that a member can be sworn in on Zoom. Yes.
Madam Speaker.
That is just a proposal, something that we can think about.
A clarification, would that mean that we can actually have our session when the speaker is actually chairing the meeting on Zoom? And if that can be done, why do we make the rules now? Why don't we wait for us to arrive there? Then we say, right now, we are conducting our parliamentary sessions through Zoom. Why don't we have the speaker presiding over the House while he's in the United States and we are participating from Uganda? So we can't start making the law now. Right now, what we have is adequate, is well catered for. And I remember, Right Honorable Speaker, you saw one of our members who came through a by-election. The session was, we were in recess, and you saw the member from your chambers. I was there as a commissioner then, and it was done in accordance with the rules within the precinct of Parliament and properly recorded and captured by the administration, the clerk's office. So why do we want to make a law when really we can still manage our situation? Right, Honorable Speaker, I think this is redundant. It is not necessary now. We have not reached that crisis level when we can have our speaker in Kamuli and chairing a meeting when I'm in Dokolo. Information. Right, Honorable Speaker, in a situation where we are not able to allow our citizens to vote in the diaspora, how then can we allow for them to be sworn in the diaspora? So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we are not yet ready for this position, and as Honorable Cecilia rightly puts it, the law we have now is sufficient, and we don't want to open up for the abuse of the law. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Honorable
we are here to serve the people of Uganda. We are not here to think about our welfare as priority number one. You must be paid to facilitate you do the work. But we cannot start paying people who are somewhere. Why are you hurrying? Have you come here to make money, or have you come here to do service and improve this country? Madam Speaker, what they are trying to amend is just going to bring a bad image to us, that we are here to think about our welfare. If you haven't sworn in, what is the problem? You come, when you come, you'll swear in and you'll be paid. We are not going to surely be here thinking, how much am I going to get? That's what, in fact, time has come when we should start thinking of people who don't attend, so that they are not paid the full salary, so that people come on time, people attend Parliament. But we cannot be here and start saying, yeah, in anticipation, supposing we start paying him and he dies there and doesn't come here. Who would pay for that money? This amendment, Madam Speaker, is unnecessary. We shouldn't waste time. It should be rejected.
Honourable members,
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we don't want to encourage corruption here. In public service, those of us who have worked in public service, Madam Speaker, even if you go through the interview and you get the appointment, they will tell you you start earning when you have reported to your station. So why should it be different with the members of parliament? Even when you are sent out of station, like I used to work in foreign affairs, even if you get appointed and posted to that station outside, there's still you start earning when you have arrived there, you have reported. So there is no way if you have not reported and they don't even know you, that you start earning a salary. Honorable members, let's not be selfish. And let's not steal government money for nothing. Let people report, and then we are sure they exist. What if it is just a voice somewhere? Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair, are you still on the same amendment?
Let me just make some clarifications, and if so wished by members, we can concede on this. But one, maybe it was a mea culpa or an error by me to give the example I gave. Madam Speaker, what we are saying, stemming from what Honorable Biandala has just said, how do you expect a member to begin serving this country if that member is not sworn in? The moment the member is sworn in, what we are focusing on is only the welfare. But once the member is sworn in, the member can begin participating through Zoom, which that member cannot do if they are not sworn in. So I don't see why the member should be denied from participating in parliament just because he is unable to come here due to circumstances beyond the control of that member. Two, let me make this clarification. Secondly, my mother Cecilia, Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, talked about the Speaker has been swearing members in the boardroom without them being in the rules. May I call your attention to Rule 8? May I call your attention to Rule 8, which says any decision by the Speaker under this rule, meaning a decision which is not in the rules, shall become part of our rules, and the Committee of Rules shall be tasked to bring that as an amendment to this floor.
Order. I have not said that the Speaker has sworn in anybody who is not there in presence. I did not say that. And I believe the staff of the Hansard has captured my statement. I said there was one incident where the Speaker swore a member who came through by-election. Parliament was in recess, and this member was sworn in the Speaker's chambers under strictly within the rules as prescribed by the rules. And that was done within the President of Parliament, and that was done publicly. And that is what I was referring to. I never said that the Speaker swore in somebody who was absent. I didn't say that.
Now, other members, I want to clarify that there is no lacuna.
Is it in order?
No, there is no lacuna in this area. I have sworn in a member on the floor, on the steps there, because the house was not on. I brought the clerk and the witness there on the steps and saw the member. I've sworn members inside my chambers. I've sworn member in my boardroom. But I don't believe that because you are away, we should allow you to swear on Zoom. No. You're elected to work in Uganda. The constituencies are here in Uganda. The people who represent are here in Uganda. So either you are there or you are out. So, Honorable Chair, I think that maybe you should really abandon that proposal.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to allay my Honorable Cecilia Ogwal's order by Ogwal. The Hansard will not reflect either that I said, that you said, that the Speaker swore anybody in absentia. Secondly, Madam Speaker, Part 5 of the amendment appears to be where the primary concern of members is. However, the amendment is in A sub-rule 3, then B sub-rule 4, and then there is 5. I think that to fully concede on this entire amendment would be wrong, but I will concede on sub-rule 5, the proposed amendment to sub-rule 5, and leave the proposed new sub-rule 3, which is simply to substitute for the word at appearing in line 2, the word prior to. It's just a drafting thing. Then sub-rule 4, which would be to substitute for the current sub-rule 4, which says, subsequent oath of allegiance of members of parliament shall be administered by the Speaker before the House. The reason we are proposing this amendment is that these oaths are actually administered by the clerk before the House. That is all that we are doing. We just want it to be clear that it is administered by the clerk. So it's not a radical amendment. So I am trying to save amendment to sub-rule 3 and 4, and I will concede on 5.
Yes, no, Silas?
I think now, Madam Speaker, we can be moving, because the other one was just a drafting issue where you are replacing at and prior. Common sense will always prevail there, because before you become a fully fledged member of parliament, you should be first sworn in. So I don't see an issue with 3 and 4. So on the other, on this side, we also concede to that. I think you are doing a good job, in my opinion.
I want to agree with prior, but being sworn in by the clerk, I don't agree on that, because that means everything we want the clerk to do, we must now specify. It is understood that the work of parliament is administered by the clerk, whether swearing ceremony or our welfare or paying us. You know, even when you want money from parliament, you want to borrow money, you don't write directly to the director of finance, you write to the clerk. Now we have to put in the rules, when you are writing this, write to the clerk. No, clerk is our chief administrator and she knows what to do. We are not going to bring administrative matters in our rules of procedure.
No, Madam Speaker, I think this has been misunderstood. In the current rules, honorable members, if you have them before you, the rules as we have them now, it says subsequent oath of allegiance of members of parliament shall be administered by the Speaker. And all that the rules are doing is the Speaker does not administer the oath, it is the clerk. So why should we leave the word Speaker there when it is the clerk who does it? All we are doing is just removing this and...
You know, the clerk is doing the work on behalf of the Speaker, really. Just making the member read, and you put in the rules that clerk should hold the book.
Are you doubting the integrity of the Speaker or what? Because whatever is to be done by the Speaker can always delegate it. So for me, I would be more comfortable to put the supreme authority, who in this case is the Speaker, to be the one in charge. So if it so happened that the clerk is the one to administer the oath, that is normal. That is the administrative work that the clerk has to do. But definitely it would be wrong for us to substitute the the name, I mean the terminology of clerk to replace the speaker. I would not agree with that. Let's leave as it is, but the administration of the oath will continue as usual.
Can I also advise that whenever they bring that oath, it is signed by the speaker? I find it is the speaker who signs that oath. Yes.
We would love to find out from the chair and the committee on rules. Since when did you discover that the use of the word speaker was wrong? Since when?
So, honor members, I think let us focus just on the word prior, the first small amendment, and we'll leave the rest.
You have ruled. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted to point out that usually this oath is sworn before the speaker. Otherwise, if it was the clerk, you would find members of parliament swearing in the clerk's office, which does not take place. So it is the speaker, and we must maintain the speaker.
Okay, honor members, let us just do the small sub-rules. Just change the words, substitute the word at, substitute prior to, instead of at. Honor members, I put the question that's sub-rule 3 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. For the record, the rest of the proposals are abandoned.
Rule 3 as amended.
With the questions that Rule 3 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. So let's go to
Rule 5.
Rule 5, Honorable Chair.
Rule 5, sub-rule 2. Substitute for sub-rule 2 the following. 2. A person is not qualified to be elected as speaker if he or she, A, is a vice president, prime minister, or a minister, or B, campaigns for his or her election, save for the procedure provided for under sub-rule 8. Justification: to disallow campaigns for the office of speaker, since this is an honorable office of service. Sub-rule 7, to substitute for presiding officer the words person presiding. Justification: to ensure consistent usage of the phrase person presiding as defined under sub-rule 16 of Rule 5 and as used in sub-rule 12, 13B, C, F, and G. C, new sub-rule. Insert a new sub-rule immediately after sub-rule 16 as follows. The oath of speaker or oath of deputy speaker shall be administered by the president or a person authorized by the president. Justification: to conform to section 2 of the Oath Act, Cap 19.
No, I just want to check on the issue of a presiding officer vis-a-vis be a person presiding, because within the Commonwealth, the presiding officer is either a Speaker of the House or the Senate. I'm trying to see where sub-rule 7 is. Election. Okay, I understand. This is the person who will be chairing. I think this is okay. The person presiding, who's normally the CJ. Oh. Yes, it's the CJ who presides at the election of the speaker. Yes. Now you are talking as if you are in Dokoro. Please take the microphone.
There's a lot of improvisation these days. Right, Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to understand whether we are taking the amendments together or after you have read the amendment you now bring them one by one because they're about 3 lumped up together.
We'll take them one by one.
You are taking them one by one. So,
can you complete? Did not finish the third one. You complete your proposals under 5.
Madam Speaker, Rule 5, the first proposed amendment is to sub-rule 2, which which is to substitute for sub-rule 2 the following. A person is not qualified to be elected as Speaker if he or she, A, is a Vice President, Prime Minister, or a Minister, or B, campaigns or causes campaigns for his or her election, save for the procedure provided for under sub-rule 8. And the justification is to disallow campaigns for the office of Speaker, since this is an honorable office of service.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want further clarification from the chair as to why you would not want the Vice President or the Prime Minister to contest for the post of Speaker. I would want a stronger justification because I haven't seen it coming here. Secondly, when you are talking about rule as provided for under 8, then you should have specifically mentioned that particular statement under 8, which makes it, which disqualifies a member from campaigning before those procedures are. I think it's, I'm seeking clarification. I hope you are seeing my position. First of all, why disqualify if today I'm Prime Minister, but I would be more comfortable being Speaker? Why don't you want me to offer my candidature for being Speaker? Can you give me a stronger argument for that?
Is that in the Constitution?
Father,
Honorable Jova?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like for the chairperson to clarify to us why you would want to put it in the rules that a person who is presenting themselves for an office should not campaign. There are some things we do out of ethics. And for example, we know that the American Constitution is not written, but everybody knows what that Constitution is. Is it? So things like you are standing for a speakership and you do not campaign, those are things we want to espouse out of ethics and integrity. But is it necessary to put in the law? Because how am I going to canvass for support if I don't campaign? For example, now we are getting about 2/3 new members of parliament. If I don't go out and talk to them, how then do they get to know me and to give me their vote? So I think we do not, so really I want clarification. Is it necessary for us to put in our rules that the person presenting themselves for the position of Speaker shall not campaign? Because this is parliamentary practice, Commonwealth practice, but it is not written.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Honourable members, I wanted to just give clarification on the issue of Vice President or Prime Minister. The Constitution bars them from contesting for that office.
Yeah, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me get further clarification. Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
No, honorable member.
Mr. Chairman.
Article 82 of the Constitution is 82(3) of the Constitution says a person shall not be qualified to be elected a Speaker or Deputy Speaker if he or she is a Vice President or a Minister. So that is where the committee gets that from. Honorable member, unless you are requesting us to delete, because it's already in the rules as it stands now. And part 8, sub-rule 8 of the rule that we refers to is the sub-rule that is in your current rules of procedure. That is the part we refer to. We didn't reproduce it because it's already in your rules of procedure. That
is Red House Speaker. Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to find out from you, how do you determine that somebody is campaigning? You know, it's very difficult to determine that somebody vying for the Speaker is campaigning. I really feel, Madam Speaker, this is not necessary, part B. Let the campaign part of it be deleted. Because we have so many ways of campaigning. Someone may be keeping quiet and sending somebody to campaign on his behalf. And then how will you determine that this person is campaigning?
Madam Speaker, we have to be very careful. Let us not tie our hands. Somebody will use that thing of campaigning, giving his own interpretation. We must get that thing out. If we're in the corridor talking, somebody taps me. He says he was campaigning. So I think that one of not campaigning should be deleted, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, before Dr. Kefa comes on board, my concern is where an appointment is supposed to be given to somebody, you know that there's an appointing authority. In this case, we are talking about elections. There is no way you can go for elections where there are no voters. And for you to bring voters to your side, you have got to campaign. I want to remind this House that we have a constitution which has a Bill of Rights in chapter 4, and we cannot ignore it. We shall be bordering along denying people their rights to campaign. And therefore, I would urge everybody to think wisely and not step on people's rights. People have a right to campaign. Number 2, Madam Speaker, on the issue of the Vice President contesting for office of Speaker, there's already a mechanism. If you're a civil servant, a public servant, for instance, and you want to vie for political office, what you're supposed to do is to resign. That one is a given. It is in the Constitution. Why are we laboring? I do not know, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, whereas the committee has a point in somehow banning those campaigning for the office of Speaker from campaigning, because in the first place, the Speaker must be dragged to the seat against their will. There is a problem around the way it has been worded, which is tantamounting to somebody being disqualified. I think that's the main point. There is a good point that those aspiring for the position of Speaker shouldn't campaign, because it's a honorable way of approaching it. But the problem is in somebody being disqualified. And I think this has a few problems. One is what will be interpreted as campaigning. That's the starting point. What is it that will be interpreted as campaigning? Then the second point is who will be enforcing it at that heat of the moment. And then the last point is how somebody can we imagine actually the problems that it will cause, somebody being said that you've been disqualified because you've been deemed as campaigning. So I think the committee can come up with a better way of presenting it in a way that upholds the integrity of that office, not to be seen actively campaigning, but not tantamounting to a punishment or being disallowed from the rest. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Pendi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this amendment arose out of what has happened in the recent past, ever since we concluded our elections. And Madam Speaker, we have been all seeing what has been happening. Even on TVs, you have seen discussions about our speakers by different people who are supporting their candidates. So, Madam Speaker, the point is a good one. For me, what I think is that we need to define what public campaigns mean. And once we have defined that, then it will become easier. Because merely members saying he has met members in the corridors here, and you call that a public campaign, that can't be a public campaign. I am very sure that what we are looking at here, members of parliament can be found within parliament. Members of parliament have phones. And if I send an SMS to a member, that cannot be a public campaign. To me, public needs to be defined, and in my understanding, the public could mean using the media like we have seen people on TV, on radios, and so on. So that's my proposal, Right Honorable Speaker, that let us define what this public campaign means.
Yes, Honorable Maurice.
Madam Speaker, I agree with the committee when it comes to not allowing the position of Speaker to participate in the line of campaigns. Madam Speaker, my observation is very clear. The scenario that we are going through, I know is going to divide this parliament. And if we have to see this in future, it will be very disappointing for the Parliament of Uganda. Madam Speaker, I just want to give two examples. I need to be clear. Madam Speaker, me and my chief whip now, we don't talk properly, but she's my chief whip. Madam Speaker, there are MPs that you find us not talking to each other, yet we are here for the next 5 years. Madam Speaker, the last example I wanted to give, I know somebody wants to bring information, but let me just bring this a bit. Madam Speaker, let me bring this a bit. Madam Speaker, I was recently in the corridor there and we met with the deputy. And the words that we exchanged were not friendly. But this is my deputy speaker. But because none of us could wish to bow down and do the other. But this is the situation that I'm giving an example for myself, meaning that there are others out there that are going through the same. And when you check our platforms, Madam Speaker, as campaigns are going on, the words that we exchange are not friendly. But this is the Parliament of Uganda. The unfortunate part of it is that part of the people on these platforms, Madam Speaker, are not members of Parliament, meaning they also participate in what we go through.
Just a quick one. I want Honorable Chibalia to tell me whether he managed to conduct his campaign in his constituency without people disagreeing with him. Whether at the time of campaign in a Kamuli, people were not using hard words against each other. Is it possible to conduct an election without such an atmosphere? It may be possible, but it's unavoidable for people to do what? To disagree. It is just a normal thing. Campaigns are campaigns, unless you are saying that we are going for appointments and not what? Elections. But as long as you talk about an election, you cannot delete campaigns. For me, that is my mind, and I feel that is the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you for as the colleague was seeking clarification, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish us to differentiate between our campaigns in our constituencies and the campaign for Speaker of Parliament. Madam Speaker, maybe I would request the committee through the chair to put some things clear and define what campaigns mean, what tantamount somebody campaigning. Because, Madam Speaker, if we see what other people campaigning for this position are doing, that can't be a campaign for being a Speaker of Parliament. It could be a campaign for something different. But, Madam Speaker, I don't want to mention it here. but what other members that are using, that are going through as they campaign for these positions of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Madam Speaker, if somebody has to be a presiding officer, if somebody has to be a Speaker of Parliament.
Seeking clarification. I've been on the queue. Right, Honorable Speaker. We should be mindful about this. We are not going to go the route of anybody imagining that for the post of Speaker, somebody should be nominated. We are not going to imagine that on the first day or second day of the election to the Speaker can now just present himself or herself with her CV and say, now elect me. I think we have to be mindful of our constitution, which compels us to abide by the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech. Right now, we have opened up to the social media. These people, you cannot control them. And these are the ones who have actually inflamed the campaigns for the speakers. You'll find that when you hear the speaker or the deputy speaker speaking, they speak with a lot of respect for one another, even for the institution of parliament. But the social media is the one we need to check so that they don't inflame the campaign and make it appear as if it has become either a tribal matter or a criminal matter, as Morris has said, that when you are associated with one candidate, you can't talk with the others who are from the... So I want clarification from you. Are you mindful of the Bill of Rights, that I still have my freedom of speech, that I can stand in any platform and say, if they are to do an election now, I would only want this category of people. For example, if I'm a gender sensitive person, and I said, let the women be elected, am I now going to stop anybody? Are you going to arrest me? Or are you going to say, because I'm gender sensitive, I'm therefore campaigning for any woman who is standing for Speaker or Deputy Speaker? I think that we have to understand what we are trying to legislate for. We cannot legislate for something which is intrinsic, which by law and by nature and by our constitution, you cannot subject to legislation.
Okay, honourable members, I just want to go to where the Honourable Pendi was to say that the only problem here is that campaigning has been tagged to either qualification or disqualification. I think what the committee wanted to say is to identify prohibited conduct in relation to elections. But to say that a candidate is disqualified because of, I think it should be recast in a different way. I think you identified the prohibited conduct that you want people to stop. Insults, bribery, etc. I think that's what you should put. Prohibited conduct. Yes, Honorable Tieno.
Yeah, right, Honourable Speaker. My concern is actually related to what you have just said. Actually, and that's why I wanted to ask to get a clarification from my brother, Honourable Chibalia. By having this rule, we are actually creating a ground for disqualifying somebody from the position of a speakership. And I'm seeing a situation, right, Honourable Speaker, where the House we elect our good speaker, the speaker we want. Then somebody runs to court and said, the person was elected because he or she engaged in a public campaign, and that would be a ground of pulling the person out of the speakership. So, Madam Speaker, public campaign is not part of this. They are just talking about campaigns. But, Madam Speaker, we need to look at this very carefully. This could be a ground, a catch situation, whereby some people may be wanting to use it as an avenue of pulling out a speaker after he or she has been elected, because they say this person violated the rules and therefore cannot be qualified to occupy this position. Because sub-rule 8 is just about nomination, where the person nominating the person for a speakership position introduces a person that says this person says good things.
But for me, I'm worried of the consequence of this provision if it is allowed. And that's the clarification I want from my brother. It may be bad, but it's worse if we leave it as it is, because it can be abused. Some powers can use it to pull down a speaker from the position. So we need to be very cautious, right, Honorable Speaker. It can easily be abused. Someone will run to court. Say, this person was able to be elected because he or she engaged in a campaign. If they have been defeated in other ways, that becomes the last resort.
Okay, but can you make proposals?
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Thieno is talking about somebody running to court because of this provision. Madam Speaker, it's not enough for you to run to court. You must have evidence that I have campaigned. And this is why, Madam Speaker, my proposal is that let us define what this public campaign exactly means. And I want the committee chair to also clarify, because the report of the committee that I have talks about public campaigns, and the amendment has left out the word public campaigns. The report says it therefore recommends that Rule 5 should be amended to back candidates for the said position from public campaigns. So can he clarify whether this word public that is in their report has been dropped? But my position, Madam Speaker, is that let us define what this is. And as you have said, maybe the committee could also handle this as it looks into what you have advised of prohibited conduct rather than the way it is. I think that would be a smarter way of handling the issue.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my view is that we let the status quo remain, and then administratively, Parliamentary Commission can look at how it can manage the members so that we keep the integrity of the institution during such a moment. Because whatever we do, this is a sensitive area. Any form of leadership, even at chairperson LC1 level, there must be some form of mobilization. And it will always include campaigning, meeting people, blah, blah. And of course, the members, the supporters, you cannot easily control them as the candidate. So I think within the institution, we can look at how best we can handle the members who are participating in the race of the speaker and indeed other positions so that we can keep harmony.
Honourable members, I want to propose that we defer debate on this matter, because even defining what is a public campaign, suppose I just got social media, isn't that a public campaign? Because I'm communicating on social media. Would I be sanctioned for that? So, members, let us defer this.
Madam Speaker, I think the
Can I
team here...
propose a way forward?
Madam Speaker, the challenge that we have, and where this issue of campaigns has degenerated into public concern, is the civility. And maybe, Madam Speaker, here, the chair is already trying to come up with a redraft of this, and we can move on.
That's why I'm saying, can we defer debate so that we come back to it later when we have about it? Yes.
Most obliged.
That's why I'm saying let's defer it.
Right, Honorable Speaker,
So we stand over Rule 5.
Can I make a proposal for way forward? Right, Honorable Speaker, I was of the view that we are wasting our time for nothing. Let's maintain subclause 2 as it is, because subclause 2 is really about perimeter, subjecting the candidates to qualification, if you can see. So perimeters of campaign cannot fall within that. So I was thinking, rather than standing over it in order to come back, let's dispose of it if the chair could agree that we leave it as it is, subclause 2, we leave it as it is. I beg to propose.
Honorable Chair.
Madam Speaker, let me remind this august House that this matter came to this committee as a result of a debate that took place in this House regarding the conduct of members who are campaigning for position of Speaker or who are campaigning for those they wish to be Speaker. Specifically, the conduct that was referred to. This matter was brought up by Honorable Kakoza of members using public fora such as televisions, members campaigning directed at people who are not even voters. So I think what this House should help me with is not that this matter is not important, but rather what we are trying to say is that the electorate for position of speaker are known. So why would a person who wants to contest for speaker run on TV and start talking to the whole nation as if this is some kind of national thing? The voters are known. I think you should allow, members should allow the committee to come up with something that would inform the member who wishes to contest that there are voters who are known, find a way of approaching those voters without necessarily dragging the institution of parliament in public, taking the name of, I mean, some of the things that have been said on media by members of this house are really terrible. So this is what we are trying to do. We are looking at how do we maintain the integrity of this house. And I think it is not wrong for us to come up with restrictions, especially because the people who are going to be voters are well known. Why do you go to the NBS? Why do you go to Morning Breeze and talk all these things to the whole country, making the country lose confidence in parliament? Because there are members who are talking about parliament now as it is, as if it is a place where we are only making deals and doing what? It is terrible. So, honorable members, we really need to save our institution. And we should do so by finding a way to prevent this kind of behavior from continuing, rather than saying we throw this out completely. I am willing, as the speaker's rule, that we stand over this and the committee comes up with a new drafting that would capture that spirit of what we are trying to protect.
Honour members, no doubt that there are things that really we need to curtail. As I said before, that this the first time you have seen printed T-shirts, printed books, papers. You know, these are different things. So let us give the committee time to review what they want to prohibit and then come back to us. So we stand over it for now. Let's go to, there's a proposal for
new rule.
New rule. New rule, Honorable Chair?
Insert a new sub-rule immediately after sub-rule 16 as follows. The oath of the speaker or oath of deputy speaker shall be administered by the president or a person authorized by the president. Justification: to conform to section 2 of the Oath Act, Cap 19.
Yes, Honour members, I think that's something we have been missing. But if you look at the Oath Act, it's actually the president who's supposed to be president when we are taking the oath. So, yeah.
Maybe we didn't get it clearly. So, Madam Speaker, you needed to come clear on that.
Now, there is an act of parliament called the Oaths Act, and lays out who is to take oath, who is to preside, etc. Now, in the case of the speaker or deputy speaker, the Oaths Act prescribes the president as the person who should be there when the oath is being taken.
I think that one is straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, members, I put the question that the new sub-rule C be adopted. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it. New rule.
The committee proposes a new rule on resignation of speaker or deputy speaker. Insert a new rule immediately after Rule 7 as follows. Resignation of speaker or deputy speaker. 1. A speaker or deputy speaker who intends to resign from his or her office shall submit a letter of resignation addressed to the clerk to Parliament. 2. Upon receipt of a letter of resignation, the clerk to Parliament shall, without delay, A, in the case of resignation by the Speaker, inform the Deputy Speaker, or B, in the case of resignation by the Deputy Speaker, inform the Speaker. 3. The Speaker or Deputy Speaker, as the case may be, shall notify the House of the resignation within 7 days. 4. In accordance with Rule 5(3) and 6(4), the business of the next sitting of Parliament after the resignation of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker shall be the election of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker, as the case may be. Justification: to provide for the procedure of resignation of a Speaker and Deputy Speaker, which the rules are silent about. The rules only provide for the impeachment of Speaker or Deputy Speaker under Rule 107.
Members, yes, Honorable Bond.
Madam Speaker, my thinking is that, first of all, at the time of electing a Deputy Speaker, that activity is presided over by the Speaker. I would think that it's proper if the Speaker, if the Deputy Speaker is resigning, the Deputy writes to the Speaker, the person who presided over his or her election. Then for the case of the Speaker, it will be proper for the Speaker to do it through the clerk. That is my personal suggestion and opinion. I would think that is the right thing.
Madam Speaker, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker are very important people, and they are put in those positions by a group of people. For somebody to resign, there must be reasons. I think we would be not careful enough just to leave. Somebody says, I'm resigning, and the other one comes and says he has resigned. That resignation could be a lesson to us. Why has he or she resigned? I think we need, when the letter of resignation is put in, maybe the commission or whatever, to debate and find out why. Maybe we do solve a problem. People resign because of problems, of reasons. So I propose that whoever has resigned, it shouldn't be a matter of the other one to come and say, after 7 days he has resigned and we leave it. We need to go to the why has that action been taken, Madam Speaker.
Are you looking at a tribunal, some kind of a tribunal?
Well, Madam Speaker, at the tribunal or the commission or whatever, the parliamentary commission, but we must find out and learn, because somebody cannot just resign.
Madam Speaker, whereas I agree with the proposal, my only problem, my concern is with the haste with which the committee is providing for the replacement of the person, the Speaker who has resigned. I wonder whether the chair can justify why it should be at the next meeting, and there is no provision that is being provided probably for the dust to settle, or even probably to allow understanding the reason why the person has resigned, and maybe even a debate about it before we actually do the election. I wonder whether the chair can clarify on why it should be at the next meeting and without any proper consideration thereafter before we get into the election.
Can I seek?
Let's hear Honorable Bald, then Honorable Cheno.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I am definitely conscious of the fact that the Speaker is also the chair of the Parliamentary Commission, and therefore maybe cannot write a letter of resignation and submit it to herself or to the Commission, because the Commission, as it is constituted now, doesn't have a deputy. I think that's one problem we'll have. But also secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the post of Speaker is very key to this country. We have only got 3 pillars of state. We have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And the head of the institution submitting her resignation to the clerk. I don't know. I feel there is something missing somewhere. Or one would say, supposing the president is feeling not well or whatever and wants to resign, does he write his letter of resignation to who? Is it to the head of public service? So I think that's a matter which we need to look at much more deeply than is seen on the surface, Right Honorable Speaker. By virtue of the status of the head of one of the 3 pillars of state. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, may I call the attention of the honorable member to Article 82, 7C of the Constitution, which specifically states that any such resignation shall be addressed to the clerk. So we are only aligning the rules to the Constitution. But it is in the Constitution that a resignation by the Speaker or Deputy Speaker shall be by a letter addressed to the clerk.
Madam Speaker, if that is the case, it's a constitutional matter. We cannot debate over it. I think really we just have to concede on this side. We need to concede. It's a matter of the Constitution.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Otieno.
I have seen this provision there in the Constitution, yes, that the Speaker can actually resign if he or she resigns, can cease. But what I'm wondering, this is the 10th Parliament, and we have been operating normally under this. What is it that has motivated the committee to now come up? I know it has been silent, but this is the 10th Parliament. What has motivated the committee to come up now and provide this? I've seen it in the Constitution, yes, but is it that we are trying to trigger resignations of speakers? Because somebody can be held incommunicado, told to write a resignation letter, it is sent to the clerk or whatever, and the person is kept where you are not seeing. Madam Speaker, if we are to make this resignation, we should make it very difficult for somebody to resign. Make it very, very difficult. Should be a very rigorous process, so that nobody takes advantage of such provisions which we are trying to trigger in these rules. That they can even kidnap somebody in his or her home, force the person to write a resignation letter, bring it here in Parliament. You don't know the whereabouts of the person. Within no time, the next sitting of Parliament, the replacement process begins. So, Madam Speaker, if we are to have this, then it should be a very rigorous process. We make it difficult for somebody to resign. Because why would, this is the 10th Parliament. Why should it be just easy for somebody to resign? That's just write a resignation letter. Supposing this resignation is out of coercion, you are coerced. You are subject to extreme conditions that make it difficult for you to resist the temptation of writing a resignation letter. So we should make it an extremely difficult thing, right, Honourable Speaker. That's my take on this. Madam Speaker, I like what the Honourable Ogwal Cecilia brought about to the Parliamentary Commission. That then brings up an idea that we can propose a body to look into this. And the mere fact that it in the Constitution says you submit it to the clerk to Parliament does not mean that we cannot have a debate to know why that person is resigning. I think we would have abdicated our duties just to say the clerk receives and the thing moves. We should learn from every act which takes place. Me, I still insist, we can add something, have a body to discuss, call whoever is resigning to find out why. Why are you resigning? By telling us we may be solving big problems within the institution, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Ngeto, and then Honorable Number.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For me, I want to give a suggestion, and starting from an example. When I was working with Plan International, for different levels of staff to resign, there would be a period of notice. So a manager, for instance, would have to give a period of 3 months notice. And I want also to suggest here that this office is a very important office. And we cannot allow just within 1 month or within 2 weeks, a very important person is already going. Why don't we say the person gives us a notice of a certain period of time? A whole speaker, a whole deputy speaker, we could still give a period of 3 months. And within the 3 months, then the parliamentary commission or whatever kind of body could be discussing and agreeing on what is happening. So that in the 3 months, if eventually it is agreed that the person can resign, then after 3 months, the person goes and the other processes of replacement can start. But if within the 3 months, the other discussions or engagements have been made and probably the person has rescinded the decision of resigning, then the process is stopped there. That would be my suggestion. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate that we are talking about these rules now. How I wish we had talked about this matter more earlier than this time. Madam Speaker, those who came before us, it seems, never at any one time thought that honorable members so gathered here to execute national duty, and because of their assembling, they need somebody to chair the meeting, would descend so low and almost start fighting each other. Yesterday I was reading the news and I got very sad that colleagues who are about to join us went to Changwanzi while in the bus, feasting, drinking all sorts of beers and wines, sponsored by somebody who wants to come back here and be a deputy speaker. I got very sad. Madam Speaker, the world is changing, and maybe we don't have much we can do to some of these things. Facebook, the social media. You can even deal with one man, and that one man pretends to be 1,000 people. Changing names, and say, but you see everywhere in the social media, this matter is popular, when in fact you are dealing with a single person. Madam Speaker, I've just been thinking about it, and allow me to do that thinking now on the microphone here. Which other political office do we have a deputy elected and a senior also elected by the same voters? The president appoints his vice president. In the judiciary, the appointing authority appoints the Chief Justice and also appoints his deputy on advice of a forum under the judiciary. Judicial Service Commission, yes. Thinking about that matter today, I was trying to understand, why should we elect the Speaker and his deputy? If they are going into an election, are we going to have running mates? Or somebody who wanted to be a speaker and eventually settled for the position of the deputy speaker and praying to God that he or she will stay alive and one day become the speaker. And this might be the source of the subordination we have witnessed in this office this time. Madam Speaker, I had just joined the parliament in the 9th parliament. I had just joined, but still I was following what was taking place here. You were a deputy speaker. I did not hear you even once attacking your senior. Never. I did not hear about it. You see, I used it to follow you very much, Madam Speaker, because there is one thing, and I'm writing my book and I've put that thing there, that Speaker Rebecca Kadaga does not want MPs who tease their colleagues, who tease newcomers. And that is the only way I was able to speak in this parliament and maybe gather some courage. It was because, Madam Speaker, when you were a deputy, I would make sure I will be in parliament because I found you to be kind. I am very grateful for that. But now, maybe this is not the right time, but I want Parliament to think about this. Either we get a system which will make the Speaker and her deputy cut a deal and campaign together that I vote for both of them once, or we shall have to give the Speaker power. Leading an arm of government is not an easy thing. But you are elected to lead an arm of government, and then with our politics of manipulation, a deputy is put up along with you, and that deputy refuses to cooperate. And of course, you will always say, I was also elected. So as we look at these rules, I understand each parliament is supposed to make its own rules. But now that we are talking for ourselves and for parliaments to come, we need to revisit this issue of the deputy speakership. We are supposed to learn by experience. The experience we have had in the 10th parliament has been a bad experience. We cannot continue legislating while setting up people to fight the others. That numbers that today I'm the deputy speaker. I must undermine the speaker so much so that next time I become the speaker. this office, when people were setting up our country, thought that it is at the same level with the president. The president leading the executive appoints his deputy. The Judicial Commission assisted the president to appoint both the Chief Justice and the deputy. And in Parliament, people come, buy beer, waraji, when they start boozing around, abuse other candidates. This is not acceptable. We shall continue in this confusion when we continue voting for these two people at the same time. One can really work to follow the other. I'm thinking like, we will have a time when the speaker will appoint his deputy. And the deputy knows that my boss can sack me if I don't work well. For us people in the opposition, we sit here. I don't campaign to be a leader of opposition. I can't. We don't. If there is any form of campaigns, they are very, very silent campaigns. Somebody just wakes up and says, Amboze, you're a shadow minister for this. But this time, this matter has become so much. I noticed it when this final phase, when it was coming in, it started when we were given the 10 billion during the COVID. The speaker is defending her parliament. The parliament has been attacked. It was a very big attack against us. And then one of our speakers joining those people who are attacking us. You find the minister shopping for a question. Can you ask me about that man also? We have undermined ourselves, madam.
Honorable member, I think let us go to the proposals.
At the right time, we should empower the office of the speaker to make sure that it is not undermined by the office of a person who is supposed to be around to support the speaker and assist her. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, honourable members. I think there were still areas not yet completed as to what happens when the letter of resignation is written. Is there a tribunal? Is there a hearing? I think we are still in the gray area. I don't know what you say here.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A number of issues have been raised by members. First of all, I would like to address this issue of why now. There seems to be some kind of suspicion that we are making rules for the next parliament, whereas Rule 172 of our rules of procedure mandates this committee to do this kind of work from time to time. Now, the committee was working on these amendments before the State of the Nation address, but we had to shelve this and extract the part of the amendments that dealt with Zoom participation, just to enable His Excellency to address Parliament by Zoom. So we delayed the rest of these amendments, and as you are aware, immediately after State of the Nation address and budget reading, we went for campaigns, and we didn't have time to consider these proposed amendments. I think Article 96 of the Constitution is very clear about when the term of Parliament expires. I don't know whether members are trying to force my committee into oblivion before our term expires, but this committee is mandated to work until Parliament is dissolved. So we are simply doing our work. And I don't see why members should have that suspicion that we are working for the next Parliament. These are our rules of procedure. The honorable member also asked why it is that at the very next sitting, we have to do no other business but to elect the speaker. And again, this is simply just in keeping with the constitutional provision which states so. So we cannot do otherwise because the Constitution says anytime these offices, any of these offices fall vacant, the next business of Parliament shall be the election of a person to fill that office. Honorable Betty Namboze brought the issue of the committee looking into the possibility of aligning how the speaker and deputy speaker get appointed. I would request, and I will support you, that we move an amendment for Article 82 of the Constitution so that we do it the way you want it done. But through this committee, it is not possible as long as Rule 82 of the Constitution says what it says. Now, honorable members, the decision to be a speaker is a personal decision. And I am sure that for the speaker or deputy speaker to submit their resignation wouldn't be something that is just done out of the blue. It would be after a very serious consideration. Also keeping in mind that Rule 107 of our rules of procedure provide a timeline for forcefully removing the speaker, for impeaching the speaker. So if we say we now introduce the issue of a tribunal and so on, then we possibly have to amend Rule 107 as well, because 107 has a week within which the clerk is notified, 24 hours within which a publication is made, and so on. So we have to keep that timeline in mind, even when we provide for voluntary resignation by the speaker. Yes.
Madam Speaker, that's why I always tell people that the chair of rules is a bright man. Madam Speaker, yes, that one I've noticed several times. He takes time to think, and he thinks properly. So, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, I think it is only in order for us to realize that matters of resignation are not issues which are beginning with the Parliament. All over the country, people resign. And I've seen even football players retire. I don't know whether that's resignation. But for you to regulate resignation means you have to regulate your attitude as well, because there might be a problem. So in my opinion, resignation is personal to holder, and it's a right. It is a right. Why would we say that when somebody wants to resign, we must debate? So you are taking away the person's right? No. So this chair is bright. Madam Speaker, this chairman is bright. That's the information I wanted to give.
Okay.
Let us maintain that position of the chair of the committee.
But also, in addition to what Honorable Ogon has said, now if I resign and then you establish a tribunal, do they tell me that we don't agree, or ultimately what does the tribunal say? Honorable Kakoza?
Right, Honourable Speaker, the reason why members are bringing that innuendo of a tribunal or an inquiry of sorts is because we know resignation can be triggered by so many factors. It could be voluntary, it could be forced. Now, the first one is where our fears are, Right Honourable Speaker, that it may not necessarily be in the right frame that the Speaker wants to resign, but some forces may bear on the speaker and say, look, you must resign. They may even draft this thing for you, and you may find that the letter of resignation is even drafted by somebody else and at a gunpoint. Yes, so those are the fears we have, Right Honorable Speaker. Somebody who is not happy can cause a resignation. That's what we are trying to avoid.
Now, but honorable members, what I've asked you, supposing, what is the final position? Does the tribunal receive the resignation? I think we need to think around it.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker. I think I was the first.
Madam Speaker, people put a lot of faith and confidence in electing you to be a speaker. I think it is good manners also for you to open up, to say, yes, you had confidence in me, I've tried to work, but this is the situation. The tribunal, whatever you call it, is not going to force you to stay or to go, but sharing the situation, sharing what is taking place may change your mind. Two heads are better than one. So you'll sit down with those people, you discuss, you say it is this, maybe you could even be wrong. You may think you are right, but you are wrong. But if you discuss with that group, you'll see, oh, I made a mistake. And we move as a group, as people put confidence in you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, let's say Honorable Kakosa, then we need to conclude.
Madam Speaker, I've been listening to my colleagues. When you follow the genesis of why a speaker is dragged in the chair by the members, it's because they trust that person. That person is very competent, and that person is going to serve the interest of those members. But what makes it worse is the member themselves who chose a trust to the speaker and they undermine that office. That's what we should restrain from. Because if a speaker is ever dragged to serve the members in the chair, but what happens? It's because of we members, we go and undermine that office. That's what I think we should legislate and restrain ourselves. The moment you choose, you trust the person, please give her or he a benefit of doubt that she can serve the interest of the institution and she's very competent. Then why originally in the Commonwealth practice they did that? It's because they know a person, the general people have sat, have generated a consensus, and they have no problem. And the speaker always serve the interest of members. When you look at the rules, she doesn't then, she listens and guides properly. But the worst is we members who are causing that problem. You go start abusing a speaker. You don't have a cutters. In this print, who are you? Where do you have that moral authority to abuse a person of the high institution? And by the way, when you take it person and abuse the speaker of the institution, you're not abusing the speaker. You are abusing the whole institution of parliament. You are ridiculing it. I remember the best example when someone was abusing members of parliament, saying they're like pigs. Then when she came for a vote, you know what happened? We should restrain with such a language, a courtesy, a respect. That's our rules. We have the code of conduct. Okay. We have a code of conduct, respect. Whoever comes in the chambers, we don't use unparliamentary language. So these are the things we have to consider, that when you elect your speaker, you've trusted him or her with that money, don't go back and undermine her or undermine that person, that office. I think what we need to work on, Madam Speaker, is the members, the members, to restrain ourselves, the behavior which we are supposed to do, and this is what is causing all this problem.
Otherwise, we are undermining our own institution and we ridiculous, and that's why this is happening. I couldn't expect any member of parliament who is here or who is outside, has not come to parliament, to start abusing the head of the institution. And you are going to be in that institution. You are going to be in that institution. When you go there also, they will abuse you the same way. Suppose also you become a speaker and abuse you the same way. So I think the best way, Madam Speaker, we should follow how the parliament Commonwealth practice, how it was, why we drag a speaker, we follow that rule, and we think we shall make a best way to have our heads of institution to be in order to serve us generously. I thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Honourable members, you know, I have just been reminded that this is day 3 of the Ramadan. We are inconveniencing our Muslim colleagues. I really apologize, we got carried away. I want to adjourn the House to next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you very much. You can use the weekend to reflect on what we have discussed.